visible. It is visible. So Simran,
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of BIT Mestra Fraternity, I would like to extend a warm and hearty welcome to our expert talk session organized by Circular Economy Study Group, BIT Off Campus, Lalpur, Ranchi. It's a great pleasure to have amidst us our special guest, Ms. Apoorva Arya. Ma'am will be talking on the topic Circular Economy, Reimagining the Economic System. A special welcome to our director, Dr. Vandana Bhattacharjee, ma'am, who has been kind enough to support our endeavor. A very warm welcome to our esteemed faculty members, other guests, and attendees present here. Our expert, Ms. Apoorva Arya, is an award-winning entrepreneur deeply committed to creating a positive impact in the world. She's the founder and CEO of Circular Innovation Lab, a Danish think tank based out of Copenhagen that works with national governments, UN agencies, and international organizations to create solutions that drive the transition to a circular economy. Her key areas of expertise within the circular economy are in plastics, textiles, and electronics. Previously, she has worked with KPMG, Ellen MacArthur Foundation, and UN agencies within finance, public policy, and circular economy in Asia, Europe, Latin America, and Africa. Ma'am, your presence here with us is a refulgence and a source of inspiration for the students present here. Now I request ma'am to take forward the session.
Thank you so much, Simran. So hello everyone, and I am so grateful to be here today. A big thanks to Ashutosh sir for putting this all together, and I'm gonna start by talking a bit about my background, my work within circular economy, and how I got here, what led me to work in this field. Then also, of course, introduce Circular Innovation Lab and the work and the projects that we're doing, and then move on to talking about the concept of circular economy. Then, of course, like supplementing that with some of the case studies worldwide that are like super innovative and super, path-breaking in a sense. And with finally, the session 2 would focus on circularity within the fashion industry. And finally, there's going to be a surprise quiz in between these 2 sessions as well. Like I forgot to add it before. Just to make it more interactive for everyone joining today, and I'm super excited. So let me just start with seeing whether this. All right. Yes. Okay. So we're now living in a world increasingly threatened by overconsumption of products which are part of the take, make, and dispose model, where 73% of global production ends in a landfill or is incinerated, which leads to, of course, a constant pressure on the planet's natural resources and the life of our future generations. The factor and the further stress due to the COVID-19 pandemic has really underlined the need for an even more urgent transition to a circular economy. So the model of circular economy presents with us an opportunity for better growth based on an economic model which favors resilience, inclusivity, and more equal distribution, while at the same time favoring the planet and lifting the weight of unsustainable and fast consumption of our planet's shoulder. So at its core, the circular economy aims to tackle some of today's most pressing global challenges, such as climate change, ecosystem loss, and increased waste. Like I said before, I'm Apoorva Arya, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Circular Innovation Lab. And I, of course, know this is a little late in the evening for everyone out there, but I guess this is when passionate individuals get together, right? And I'm glad to be sharing this journey with me here today. And I really hope that it plays a small role in your circular economy journey moving forward. And just to give you a little bit of background on why circular economy, why am I passionate about our resources, our environment, and why I believe in building an economy based on these principles. I was born and raised in Delhi, but I spent a large part of my childhood in the beautiful village nestled in the Himalayas, in the calm and peace of nature, and several thousand feet above sea level, and that's where my family is from. And my interest in climate change resources really began during the summer holidays when I visited my ancestral village, and I joined all these environmental committees, group meetings in the village where they discussed about these pressing changes. Of course, it's an ecosystem that we all know is quite fragile and has experienced from landslides to cloudbursts to floods over the years. So needless to say, this is where my passion for conserving our environment and natural resources come from. And like I mentioned earlier in the introduction, I really started my career within consulting. I was working within mergers and acquisition with finance, and I soon realized that that's not something that really gets me going. And which is when I heard Madam Ellen MacArthur talk about circular economy in one of these conferences. And soon after, I joined them and led some of the work that the foundation did in India and circular economy. On with different stakeholders, we charted out a national roadmap for circular economy for India. And in 2017, I moved to Denmark to pursue my master's in environmental and natural resource economics. And this is where I also started the company Circular Innovation Lab, which is a think tank that works within the sphere of circular economy with national governments, UN agencies to accelerate the transition to a circular economy. One second, So some of the work that we're doing within the Circular Innovation Lab is primarily in research. So we do high-level studies or research on circular economy, whether it's sector-specific, whether it's specific to a specific challenge that a government is facing. That's one of the areas that we're focusing on. The other part is, of course, the sectoral aspect of it within plastics, textiles, electronics, and cement. And this other part that we do is do national circular economy roadmaps for governments. And I think within this, some other stuff that we do is within, doing all these workshop and capacity building training exercises for both, the industry as well as university. And just before I begin talking a little bit more about the concept of circular economy, I'd like to play this video. That was done by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation on the concept before I start talking more on it. I hope...
Living systems have been around for a few billion years and will be around for many more.
I hope it's audible to everyone before I started.
Yes, ma'am. It's audible.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
All right. Yeah.
In the living world, there's no landfill. Instead, materials flow.
One species' waste is another's food. Energy is provided by the sun. Things grow, then die, and nutrients return to the soil safely. And it works. Yet as humans, we've adopted a linear approach. We take, we make, and we dispose. A new phone comes out, so we ditch the old one. Our washing machine packs up, so we buy another. Each time we do this, we're eating into a finite supply of resources and often producing toxic waste. It simply can't work long term. So what can? If we accept that the living world's cyclical model works, can we change our way of thinking so that we too operate a circular economy? Let's start with the biological cycle. How can our waste build capital rather than reduce it? By rethinking and redesigning products and components, and the packaging they come in, we can create safe and compostable materials that help grow more stuff. As they say in the movies, no resources have been lost in the making of this material. So what about the washing machines, mobile phones, fridges? We know they don't biodegrade. Here, we're talking about another sort of rethink, a way to cycle valuable metals, polymers, and alloys so they maintain their quality and continue to be useful beyond the shelf life of individual products. What if the goods of today became the resources of tomorrow? It makes commercial sense. Instead of the throw away and replace culture we've become used to, we'd adopt a return and renew one, where products and components are designed to be disassembled and regenerated. One solution may be to rethink the way we view ownership. What if we never actually owned our technologies? We simply licensed them from the manufacturers. Now, let's put these two cycles together. Imagine if we could design products to come back to their makers, their technical materials being reused and their biological parts increasing agricultural value. And imagine that these products are made and transported using renewable energy. Here we have a model that builds prosperity long term. And the good news is, there are already companies out there who are beginning to adopt this way of working. But the circular economy isn't about one manufacturer changing one product. It's about all the interconnecting companies that form our infrastructure and economy coming together. It's about energy. It's about rethinking the operating system itself. We have a fantastic opportunity to open new perspectives and new horizons. Instead of remaining trapped in the frustrations of the present, with creativity and innovation, we really can rethink and redesign our future.
Ma'am, you're not audible.
I'm so sorry. I think I'm so bad at this mute thing, and I think I sometimes get muted. I was saying that since we've been developing this concept for a couple of years now, and it's been there, but I think an easiest way to understand, what is a circular economy is to, of course, compare it to our current linear model of economic growth, where we take resources, we make something, and then we dump it. This is a linear product. This is a linear process. So this current production and consumption pattern follows the traditional industrial model, of course. And the circular economy, what it's mainly primarily trying to do is to decouple this economic activity from the consumption of finite resources in an attempt to close the loop. When we say close the loop, we're trying to say that, when we start off like a production system where we make something, we take it back, we don't produce waste in the first place, but we're able to recover all the materials that went into the production and we put it back into where it came from. Just to explain a bit more about what I mean from that is is this diagram, which is a famous butterfly diagram, which is it is to improve the visualization of a circular economy concept, and which was made by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, which is one of the biggest circular economy pioneers in the world. So this from this butterfly diagrams, if you look at this diagram, we see there are two main cycles, namely the technical and the biological cycle. In the technical cycle, products are kept in circulation in the economy through reuse, repair, remanufacturing, and recycling. And in this way, materials are kept in use and never become waste. And similarly, in the biological cycle, you'll see all the natural components of this. Within the biological cycle, we're talking about all the natural resources and all the natural components. So the nutrients from biodegradable materials are returned to the earth, for instance, through the process of composting or anaerobic digestion, and it allows the land to regenerate so that the cycle can continue. So I think the major part of circular economy that it really gets to, how we want to transform the circular economy is by, circulating all these materials in a way that they go back into the system. It regenerates nature, and one second. So and more tighter these cycles in both the biological and the technical cycles, the better the system we're designing for a circular economy. I think what's useful is to maybe give you some of the examples of a circular economy, so that it becomes a bit more, clearer. So what happened in the case of, for instance, Philips, was that a client went to Philips and they asked this question: we don't care about, which fixtures you use, which light bulbs you put. Can you sell light as a service to me? So what happens in this pay-per-lux model is that Philips would, retain the ownership of all the main products, like the fixtures or the bulbs that go in, and the client only pays for however much energy they use. What happens in this case is that the customers benefits in the way that they of course only pay for the service that they require to use, and they often receive a better service, as Philips would be more would have a better incentive to make sure that the longevity of the fixtures and the light bulbs are maintained. So they operate that, which means that they're incentivized to also manufacture, high quality products, durable products, and of course have all the and better, modular design, so that in case they want to fix anything or repair anything, that exists. So it's not like something where you sell something to someone and then just forgets about it. So it really, skips that part where we're trying to, build something on, give products to customers that would make them feel that, this is something that, was innovative. That I would also like to, make sure that has a longer life cycle, as opposed to something of like bad quality, which wouldn't make any sense for us economically as well to fix. We would rather just buy a new one because it's so cheap to do that, right? And I think another really interesting thing that happened, from this case study was that so Philips, luminaires, they lasted 75% longer than the conventional, equipment. And this reduced energy consumption by 50% as opposed to the previous system. So now moving on to another case study, which is something that I find super innovative and super interesting as well, in the sense that, every day we use so many, single-use plastic things. For instance, coffee sachets, like sugar sachets, salt sachets, that cannot be recyclable, we just end up dumping them. And where do they end up? Of course, they're either landfill, they're either burnt, or they just leak into our natural environment. So what EvoWare is doing, it's an Indonesian-based company. They came up with a seaweed packaging, which is edible. So you can literally drop them in your cup of coffee in the morning, and it dissolves into it. And it's super safe to also consume it. So of course, this replaces this whole problem of single-use packaging that we've seen everywhere, that really affects our natural environment. And I think one of the other examples that I would love to share with you all, it's probably not on my slide today, but it's part of this organic farming system in Japan, where it's called the Tukao Furana. So this Japanese farmer called Takao Furano, he came up with this method. So what he did was he put together a small-scale organic farming system, and he raised ducks on one part of that farm, and he grew rice on the other. So what happened is that, in terms of, he of course had additional food products like the duck eggs, the duck meat, and so on. But as ducks are natural weeders, he didn't have to hire someone else to do this job. But also, all of this made sure, with all the with ducks being there while they were trying to grow rice, what happened was it made the farming system even more fertile. So the harvest increased like 20 to 50% more than a traditional traditional industrial farm. So I think this is also an example of like a innovation in a natural environment, where whether modeling this kind of dynamic living systems together could be beneficial both for farmers, whether it's in terms of crop yields, whether it's terms of how natural it is, because you don't need natural fertilizers, you don't need chemicals for this. You're also not you don't have to additionally think about weeding and all these problems, right? It's one of those examples that also makes this whole concept super interesting. Now, I think what I'd like to do is maybe I'm going to introduce my colleague here, Theo. Theo, I think it'll be nice if you could please do a quick introduction. So we're trying to do a fun quiz here to kind of see if any of the stuff that I was talking about is it was clear enough, was interesting enough to listen to. So I would request all the students who are participating in this talk to please open this link from your phone's browser. And once you've done that, I'm gonna quickly tell Theo to maybe do a quick introduction and also share his screen so that he can run this quiz for you. Theo, you're still on mute.
Ma'am,
Yes,
can you
thank you.
send the link?
Sorry?
Ma'am, can you send the link?
Yeah, we can also do that. Theo, can you put it on the chat? But I would urge you guys to open it from your phones and not your laptops, because I think on the screen, the questions and the answers will, flash on the screen when Theo shares his screen.
Thank you, ma'am.
No worries.
Okay, ma'am.
I have a little problem with the credentials, but maybe I'm gonna first present myself. So I'm Theo Venturelli, and I'm a circular economy analyst at Circular Innovation Lab, which I just joined very recently. And before that, I was studying environmental economics at the University of Copenhagen, just like Apoorva did as well some years ago. And after this, I decided to work on a circular economy because, I mean, this is something that is really important to transition to a society that is more respectful to the environment, but also to the people. And this is I have also an economics background, so and I understood how our current economic system is simply cannot lead us to the climate goals and the environmental and sustainability goals that we have today. And that's why I see in the circular economy a way to change our system to one that can lead us to achieve those goals. And that is why I was very happy to join a circular innovation lab and to work on the very impactful projects that we work on.
Thank you, Theo.
Thank you so
Thanks for
much.
joining.
Yeah, and thank you so much for that
Thank you.
introduction.
I'm just gonna try to fix the quiz because it is not launching.
All right, like we'll take a couple of minutes, and if it doesn't, like maybe I can meanwhile, talk more about some other case studies, or maybe also start maybe introduce the second part of the session that's going to be focusing on the circularity in the fashion industry. So we're going to do like a similar thing in this session as well. So I'm going to start with telling you a bit more, giving you a bit more data on like on this industry, of like what's happening, what are the negative impacts this industry is having, in the world. And then, of course, there's going to be another video that shows that problem in a more visual way. I thought that would be useful as well. And then, of course, present some of the opportunities or challenges, or like how can we, put together innovation and, different business models to kind of achieve these things that we're trying to tackle. That's what the second session is going to be about. And right after this quiz, I think we're going to take a quick 10 minutes coffee break as well. I know it's digital, but I think that would be still useful. Theo, is it working now?
It's working now, so I will share the link in the chat for some of you. It might also work on your laptop, so you can also try on your laptop if.
But I think the only challenge in that sense would be that you would also need to look at the screen for the questions and the answers. Or if it's already there on your this thing, that works as well. Theo, can you maybe
I'll
share
also
your
send you
screen? All right.
I will also send the code that you need to put.
Yeah. So this is the code that you need to put.
So when you're on the website, you just have to click on play, and then you insert your name and the following code. So I'm going to share my screen also so you can see the questions. Also, you don't have to put your real name. You can put any name you want. If you want to be anonymous, it's not an issue.
That's fantastic, Theo. Theo loves the anonymity of taking quizzes, and his favorite name is Dragon. Ever since we were testing it out, that's what he's been doing. So if you find a Dragon winning the quiz, it's all rigged, guys.
It's true, but this time I cannot play, unfortunately, because if I play, you're gonna see the answers. So.
All right, fair enough.
But I'm just gonna wait that more people are joining, and
yes,
we'll the quiz shortly. And guys, I think for each questions you will have 25 seconds to answer, so that should be enough time, hopefully.
Okay, I also see Apoorva participating. I have a lot of this thing from you, Apoorva. Okay, guys, I think we're gonna take another 2-3 minutes more to make sure that others join as well, and then we're gonna just start. Okay, I see people still joining, which is great. I love that. I think we should start now, Theo. I don't see any more
Okay.
people joining the quiz. I think it's been 31 for a couple of minutes now.
Then I'm gonna start. I hope you're all ready.
Yes.
All right, let's start.
Okay, so the first question is circular economy is based on design-driven principles, which are eliminate waste and pollution, circulate products and materials, C, regenerate nature, and D, all of the above. Guys, you have to be fast. Okay, so I think
We do
now...
have many
Great.
good answers.
Yeah, very good answers. And I think the answer was all of the above. So it's mainly three things, right? It's eliminating waste and pollution, like we said, like, designing out waste. So like what it essentially means that there should be no waste produced in the first place. And so by circulating products and material, it's more about, when we talked about the butterfly diagram, how do we make sure that whether it's a technical or a biological cycle, the products and materials that went into making a product would go back to the systems that it came from. And of course, the third thing is regenerate nature. So as I said before, circular economy is a concept that is restorative and regenerative by design, right? So especially in the natural systems, like how do we make sure that whatever we're doing in the world, it goes back into regenerating our nature and not like spoiling it or misusing the resources that we have. So now, we move on to the next question. Theo, can we have the next question? Okay, so the diagram for visualizing the concept of circular economy is one, answer A, resource efficiency diagram, B, revolving diagram, C, butterfly diagram, and D, dragon diagram. And guys, you have to be fast on this. You have 7 seconds to go. Oh my God, this is amazing. So of course, it's the butterfly diagram. It doesn't really look like a butterfly, but the slide that I presented that had the technical and the biological cycle on 2 hands, it kind of looks like a butterfly, but it's one of the really famous visual representation of what kind of systems we're talking about, both in the technical and the biological cycle. So guys, we're going to move on to the next question. Okay, which of the following is not a circular economy business model? So a freemium model, which is essentially something like a Netflix where you have a 30-day trial period, right? And B, renting. Of course, we know what renting is. Sharing is how we share resources. And then D is product as a service. The example that I gave. Wow, this
That's
is
a bit fair because Apoorva didn't have time to explain all the meanings, but I think it's got anyway. So
Yeah. So just I think I also didn't get to talk a lot more about the different business models, and I think it's a great way to kind of understand that this is something that you need more clarity on. So when we talk about renting a resource, so what we're trying with what we're doing is that we're utilizing that resource to its highest optimal potential. So what I mean by that is, like, for instance, an Airbnb, if someone has a house in the mountains somewhere and wants to make sure that people use it, and it's not just sitting there, right? So that's a great example of how, like, a shared resource can have the highest possible utilization on it. And another way, of course, is renting. So like the video explained of, like, why do we need to buy things, like why can we not, like, rent it out? And what it does is that, for instance, if instead of buying a washing machine, we rent a washing machine for the next 10 years, because we know that a life cycle of a washing machine is 10 years, and once we're done using it, it goes back to the manufacturer, because the manufacturer is the person who is most equipped to make sure that all the materials that can be recovered from that machine that doesn't work anymore can be used to make the next machine, right? So that's something that would make sure that there is material recovery of all the components that went into making that washing machine. So in that way, we are also using those materials to its highest potential, and also making sure that they go back to where they're coming from. This is an example of the technical cycle of circular economy that I was talking about. And of course, the third thing is the product as a service, right? The Philips example, the Paper Lux example, where we're saying that, so a product can be, sold as a service, so that we don't sell the product itself, which gives, like, manufacturers to make high quality durable products. It also makes economic sense to do that, because if they spend the same amount of money and they can extract as much they can extract all the cost of making that of that product over a couple of years, then that would make a much more better business sense. But it's also great from a perspective of thinking about what resources went into making that product, and making sure that we again utilize those resources to the highest optimal level. And for the freemium model, I think I just want to say that this kind of business model is great for, like, making sure that businesses like, say, Netflix, Spotify, and so on, they get people to experience their product at no cost, and they get on they get people tied down to it, right? Like, anybody who has a Netflix subscription for a month, and they realize that as consumers or as customers, they have so much of value that they can derive from it, and they get to experience that free of cost, and they think that, okay, after a month, this makes sense to buy this product. So that's a good way to get customers, have a buy-in of customers for a service that people want them to use and try it out before they say that, okay, it's not worth my time, or it's not worth my money, and so on. So nothing to do with circular economy, or like what we were trying to talk about in terms of material recovery, material use, and resources, and all those things, but more like a business model from a very sense that makes sense to you guys. Okay, Theo, can we have the next question, please?
yes.
Okay, which of the material beneath does not relate to a circular economy design? So A, thermocol, B, seaweed, C, hemp, and D, mycelium. And just to clarify what mycelium is, it is the root of a mushroom. So it's a natural material. Okay, wow. Great. Great. So I think this is also a question that a lot of you, got right. So of course, thermocol is something that is super, super bad for the environment. Like this is a hydrocarbon. It cannot be recycled. It just ends up in, water bodies, and it's probably this is a kind of material that should be phased out of, a circular economy. These kind of materials should not exist in a circular economy. And something like a seaweed, natural materials. I just gave an example of EvoWare, where it literally dissolved, right? Like a coffee sachet that can dissolve in your coffee. So seaweed is a great example, biodegradable, natural. So is mycelium and hemp. They're all natural materials. They're all materials that are also like good for the environment and can also be biodegraded at different so I don't want to go into biodegradability and what does that's going to be a bit more complicated, but thermocol is definitely an example of a material that should not exist in a circular economy. Theo, can we have the next question?
Yes.
Okay, so the main concept of a circular economy is to A, design out waste, B, burn waste, C, recycle waste, and D, reduce waste. Guys, I'm so glad that none of you chose burn waste. That is amazing. I think my job is done today for the day. I love that none of you chose burn waste. So that's something. Of course, we want to reduce waste. Of course, we want to recycle waste. But these are very downstream solutions of a circular economy. So the main idea behind is to not produce any waste in the first place, is to design products, materials, systems in a way where we do not have any waste. Of course, it's an ideal world case scenario, but this is in terms of a concept and what it's trying to do. It's literally is like no waste should be produced in the first place. All right, Theo, next question. So which organization is a pioneer in the field of circular economy? A, the World Economic Forum, B, Ellen MacArthur Foundation, C, Chatham House, and D, the UN Environment Program.
And this is the last question.
Yes, this is the last question. Guys, that's great. I think you all did so well. It's the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, and we obviously thought that UN and environment would be a bit confusing, but as you saw, the Ellen MacArthur Foundation is one of the pioneers in the field of circular economy. They have so much research and such great publications, and they really have. They've really built a very strong case, economic case for a circular economy. So just want to kind of reiterate that this is one of the foundations, and I would, of course, we're going to share some resources with you from their website as well, if you want to learn more, read up more about different business models that we spoke about today, or the concept in itself and everything. So guys, now what we're going to do is, before moving on to the next session, which is circularity within fashion, we're going to do like a quick, it's going to be a 9-minute break now. So I hope that you come back before 3:30. It's 3:21 right now. Let me also grab some coffee and I'll see you in 9 minutes. All right.
And
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
congrats to Asta. who won the
Yeah.
quiz actually.
Apoorva
Thank you
and
so much.
Luffy as well. Like, I really want to know Luffy's name.
Congrats to everyone, anyways, for it. You all did a very good job.
I think you all did a really good job, and of course, we were also trying to confuse you a bit, and we also didn't make it super simple. So, I'm just gonna say that all of you did like amazing, and hope you enjoyed it, of course. So, guys, I'm gonna see you in like 8 minutes at 3:30. Hope you jump back in sooner than that, so that we can start at dot 3:30. All right. Hi guys, we're gonna start soon now again, and I hope almost all of you are back. I'm just gonna quickly share my screen once again. Okay. So should I start? I think I'm gonna start again.
You can start now.
All right.
Yes, ma'am, please.
So now moving on to our second session, which is on circularity in fashion. Before I show you this video on circularity of fashion, I'm gonna just talk a bit more about the industry and the impact it has. So each year, millions of tons of clothes are produced, they're worn and are thrown away. So a research done by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation saw that every second, the equivalent of a rubbish truckload of clothes is burnt or buried in a landfill. And the fashion industry is major contributors of plastic microfibers that enter into our ocean. So to solve this problem, we really need to reinvent, fashion itself and our relationship, how we use them, and how do we make sure that they don't end up releasing microplastics in the ocean. I'm just gonna play a video now, and here you go. I hope it's audible.
When it comes to fashion, if it looks great, it should be worn. If it's by our skin, it should be safe. And when it's worn out, it shouldn't be wasted. Sounds like common sense, right? But that's not how it is today. One truckload of clothing is being burned or landfilled every second. Mountains of clothes are stuck in warehouses and at the bottom of our wardrobes. And less than 1% of used clothing is turned back into new clothes. Globally, it's costing us billions of dollars every year. This shouldn't be the price of looking and feeling good. People's demands and expectations are changing. It's time the fashion industry changes too. To thrive in the future, we need a fashion industry made up of three elements. Business models that keep clothing used for longer, like sharing, swapping, rental, repair, and resale. Materials that are safe and renewable. So our clothes do not release microfibers that pollute our oceans, and making them does not destroy local ecosystems. Solutions to use clothes are turned into new, designing and making clothes so the materials can be used again and again and again. It's a new ambition for a fashion industry where clothes never become waste. There's so much that brands can do now, but no organisation can shift the system alone. Make fashion circular brings together people across the entire industry to develop new solutions, scale the ones that work, and build a fashion industry that's beautiful, inside and out.
Okay, so as you saw in this video, it asks a question like, how do we change this? Like, how do we change this really bad production method where we're producing so much of much of stuff that's like fast fashion. As you all know, there's a lot of resources that go into producing a single t-shirt or the jeans that we wear, and then we end up using it. And these days fast fashion has become so big, like we can barely buy a t-shirt for less than a cost of a sandwich, right? And then what we do is that we just throw it away. So how do we change this? How do we change and make sure that we build like an industry that make sure that we don't use bad materials, the business models that we use are more sustainable as well. So I think one way, a report that came out a couple of years ago looked at, the first thing that should be done in this scenario is to phase out, substances of concern and microfiber release. Because if there is so much plastic in your shoe as well, that really ends up, in being released into our oceans. And literally, there was this report that said that we drink the water we drink is literally in a year it's like eating like a card, like a credit card, is how much plastic as microfibers we consume. So it's like a major health concern as well, and this is something that really needs to be tackled. And of course, the second thing is to increase the utilization rates of clothes. So what I mean by that is, like, when we produce one jeans, there's like about 7,000 liters of water that go into producing it, right? And how do we make sure that the jeans that is being produced is used more by more people? Or like, once someone wants to get rid of it, like how can we make sure that someone else can use it? So that the resources that went into making that jeans like are really utilized at the highest optimal level. Like what kind of business models do we think about? What kind of conversations or communication should brands like Levi's or different brands that do jeans should do with their customers, so that there's no stigma also attached to resale on these different things, where if someone wears the jeans for one time, it shouldn't like end up being burnt or incinerated and so on. So, and of course, the third thing that they proposed was to really radically improve recycling. So I think just to quickly tell you what could be like a product that would be easily recycled if it's made from one single product, right? So in a jeans, you have these rivets, you have like different zips and keychains and like so much of stuff. How do we make sure that we design these jeans or we design a t-shirt in a way that's made from a single material, so that if we want to recycle it, it goes back to someone who's maybe producing a cotton t-shirt, right? If it's also has these elements of polyester or elastane, all these things, and I understand that sometimes you need that in clothing, but for clothes where we don't need that, maybe a mono material could work in a better way to recycle it. So that's also one thing that we really need to think about. And of course, the other thing is to make effective use of both the resources and also like how are they produced? Like, are we using the most renewable inputs, whether it's the energy used, whether it's the water that goes into making it, and so on and so forth. So some of the categories that I was kind of talking about is you can of course have for every cloth you produce, or for every jeans you produce, you can have more use per user. And the second thing is, of course, like how do we, in the shared economy concept, like how do you make sure that, more users can get more out of one product than less? And I think the third thing that is super interesting and is really is super futuristic also in a lot of sense is, how do we go beyond physical products? So we see like a lot of influencers, we see a lot of celebrities, like for them, it's like a, wearing an outfit or doing like different, fashion accessories. It's like a one-time thing. They do it for the Instagram post or, like a specific cover and so on. So there are a lot of designers, there are a lot of innovators out there who are doing like digital collections. So you literally can just buy a digital clothes like outfit, from outfit to accessories to shoes and so on, like digitally for your 3D avatar that you can just post a picture with. So that's also one way of making sure. So stuff like things we don't want to use them for a really long time, maybe we can explore this digital aspect of it, right? So some of the business models, of course, I already touched upon them, would be to, of course, rent out clothes, especially, in an Indian context, we go to all these weddings and we have these wedding trousseaux where it's like you never wear them after wearing it at one wedding function, right? So it's the same, like you could rent it out, right? So and we will of course make sure that we have that example of more users per outfit. So that's one thing. The other is, of course, resale. So if you're not going to wear the outfit that you wore for your, graduation ever again in your life, then of course you should, think about reselling it. Or these brands like H&M and all these different brands, they're doing like recovery things, right? They're also incentivizing customers to give the clothes back to them so that they can exchange it for like a gift card or like points where they can buy more. So in that sense also, this is something that they could fix it, use those materials to make new products, and also resell the same one if that's a possibility. Not at the moment, but that's something that also could be looked at. And of course the other thing is repair. I think it's not a problem that we're having in India at the moment, but globally, especially in European countries, repair almost doesn't exist. You don't have tailors, you don't have anyone who could help fix things for you. And that's something that's also kind of like phasing out from India as well. But that's something that we should still really hold on to and not think of it as something like, okay, I'd rather buy something new. It's also like it's also something that needs to be should be thought about, and like you can sensitize people around you that this is not something that we should do. And of course the other thing is remake, is how creative you are, how can you it's all the DIY projects that we're talking about, but of course that really depends on how creative and how much time you have at hand. But definitely something, do you know anyone who could use it? Do you know like someone in and around you who has the has the creativity, or has also like could make a business out of it, right? So you can just donate your clothes there so they can remake new things to use those resources properly. So I think one example is in the fashion industry, especially this thing called mud jeans, where the jeans in itself. When we talk about the jeans, I talked about the rivets, the different things on the jeans. So they designed it in a way that it could be recycled. They also follow a leasing model. So once your jeans is worn out, you've worn it as much as possible, or you're bored of it, you can like return it back to them. And of course they it's all about using the materials they're using are toxic, are non-toxic, I mean. And they're made from organic cotton. And also they have this whole social aspect fit into it, where it's like they're giving fair wages, and their gender and the working conditions are good, and so on. And another great example that I really enjoy is this brand called Win One. It's a company based out of Switzerland, where two designers who worked in the fashion industry for the last 25 years, they realized the need for making sneakers that could both be used for a really long time, but you could also customize them. For instance, if you look at this image here, so they have a replaceable sole. So this is the part of the shoe, through research over the years, they realized this part of the shoe gets really worn out super fast, and you can, elongate the life of this product if you could, replace this. So they also have an option of replacing this part of the sole of the shoe. And in terms of the materials that they chose, the footbed of the shoe is made from cork, which is a natural material. It's also comfortable and so on, and the outer sole of this shoe is made from leather. And that's also because it's a material that's it's the highest quality, it's the most durable one. And this is also a great example of, if you see the image, they also give you a repair kit with it. So they also tell you how can you take care of this sneaker in a way where it lasts longer, and so on. So guys, I think that really concludes my presentation here today. It was lovely to get to share all these things with you guys. And you're welcome to add Circle Innovation Lab and all these different handles and all these chapters on LinkedIn if you want to. And if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them now.
Any queries from the audience? We'll just take it up forward fast.
Yeah, I think we're a bit good on time as well. Yeah. 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 So that's what I'm trying to say. So it's like, now I don't want to go into too much technicalities, but for instance, if a cloth is only made of polyester, then that makes it possible to at least recycle it. So just give you an example of, since we're talking about plastics, plastics are not bad in itself, but the systems around how we deal with plastics at the end of life, or how we put them back into the system, is bad. So we kind of need to rethink it. Just to give you an example, for something that we have in Copenhagen here is like every PET bottle has a code, so you can return it in a supermarket. And there has been and I did research on it myself, so I know for a fact there's like 100% recycling rate for a particular can and a particular PET bottle. I think it's the same in India. Like, I think there aren't systems to make sure that we recover it properly, but at a stage at a stage where it makes economic sense for people. Of course, the unofficial sector is looking at making money off it. But like I said, when we talk about polyester, it's not bad in itself, but it should be designed in a way that it can at least be recycled, or we use those resources. So the same thing again. So you use this much oil, right, to produce this much material, but to make sure that we don't use the oil over and over, and we don't increase that thing. And at least if we made one polyester t-shirt or like one polyester shirt, then we kind of make sure that we can use all that oil that went into using it at from more, like we can make more from the already existing product that we make, and not tap onto virgin resources, more resources. So that's what I'm trying to, we can't like change and that's also something that as a person I would not like say that we can't really have these things where we from one day to next be like, this shouldn't exist, this cannot exist. But we should plan out like more systems and plan out products in a way where we can make use of things that are really important to us in a more efficient way, if that makes any sense. And I hope that answered your question, Farhan. Any other question, guys?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, you mentioned the use of mono materials. So what is the issue with using mixed fibers for fabric? Is it
the whole how do you segregate them is the problem. So if you have like different types of so if you have an LDP and HDP or this, how do you segregate those different things? So it becomes recyclability becomes a problem. So when recyclability becomes a problem, recovering that material becomes a problem. And when you cannot recover a material, then you don't have an option to, how else do you deal with it? It has to be burnt or it has to be landfill, right? So that's the problem with, mixed materials. The problem of segregation. I'm sorry, I didn't know who asked this question, but I hope that answered it. Any more question, guys?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
If people start using products for a longer period of time, won't that uh, won't that affect businesses since people won't buy products more?
Exactly, which is why innovation, right? Innovation in different kind of business models. So Philips, like the example that I presented before, they actually were able to make more money because they could, for in the luminous example that I was telling you about, so it worked for 75% more time. So imagine they can make money 75% more times than as opposed to a conventional luminaire. So it's like we need to think about different business models. So if, for instance, if I will I make more money as a fashion designer if I have like say a bridal outfit for 20,000, or I'll make more money if I rent it out for like 10 years of that product. So I think that's one part of innovation in a business sense or a business model, also as also as businesses, like it, because it makes economic sense. If I sell a outfit for 20,000 and I rent it out for say a year, maybe it's like 1,000 rupees every month, then of course I make more money over the number of years, right? So it doesn't have to be one way or the other. I think it's about like being smart about how do we use resources, how do we also make sure that the economics of it doesn't suffer. So which is why like something like a circular economy does have an economic basis. It's not just good for the environment, it also has like it's also good for businesses.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Any other questions, guys? Ashutosh sir, I think
yes,
yeah,
yes, you had covered everything, so I don't think there's anything left to be asked.
yeah,
So I think we should conclude the session.
absolutely. And I just want to add one more thing. If you were telling me about before that the students are going to do an internship at some point. If anyone is interested in doing an internship with us, then you're welcome to contact us at this email address that I'm just going to put it on the chat here. And also, if you anyways have questions or you have more, you want to access more material, just feel free to, send your queries and question on that email address as well. Thank you so much.
And this internship would be online.
Yeah, it
And
will be. It can be remote
yeah,
as well.
it would be
Yeah.
remote.
Yeah.
So you can reach out to Apoorva ma'am through me. You can let me know as to what exact area you want to work in. Of course, it should be related to circularity.
Yeah, of course.
Right. Aditi?
Yes.
Aditi?
Yes, sir.
So I think we should conclude the session now.
Yes.
Sure, sir.
Yes.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, sir. Appealingly pointed out by ma'am, I would like to express our deep thanks on the behalf of Circular Economy Study Group, BIT Lalpur campus, to our expert, Ms. Apoorva Ma'am, for such an amazing and informative presentation and giving us an insight on the relevant topic. I also extend my gratitude to Dr. Vandana Bhattacharjee Ma'am, Director of our center, for providing us such a platform. My sincere thanks is directed to Dr. Ashutosh Mishra sir, who took effort to organize this event. Special acknowledgement to all my faculty members for joining this session and making this a great success. I also thank the working committee members who contributed in this event. I would also like to express my gratefulness to all the attendees for taking out time and supporting us in our mission towards circular economy. We look forward to conduct more such events hereafter and hope Apoorva ma'am will join us in future too. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Aditi, and thank you once again, everyone, for such a great session. I look forward to talking to you all and engaging with you moving forward as well. Thank you so much, Ashutosh sir, once again to put this all together. I had a great time. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for giving time. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye,
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thanks to all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Thanks, everyone. And yes,
The working committee members to
thanks,
just wait
Theo.
after the meet.
Theo, thanks a lot for joining.
All right. Thank you. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We'll connect again. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Working committee members just